Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming. I am the majestic Snare, and this is my disembodied, very famous voice to you, because you're listening to it. Simple as that. Now today's video is going to be a bit of a rant. I've had a couple of goes at this, and I think I've solidified my thoughts enough to get it out properly. So today's video is going to be a bit of a rant. It's about the gaming industry in general. And I want to just take a moment for us to sit down and look at something. So we have a situation over the last few years where we've seen a lot of practices come in and take away the immensely enjoyable aspect of gaming. And that is something that we've seen back in the day with things like downloadable content or disc-locked content, as it turned into, microtransactions, loot boxes, and all of the other bits and pieces that people do have a lot of time and do a lot of commentary on from some channels about how terrible it is. So back in the day, originally when you had DLC, let's just take our minds back maybe, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years, when you had a game released and it was a success. Okay, something that like Diablo. Diablo came out, that's a game first that jumps to my mind. Game came out, it was a success, and then they released an expansion to that game that allowed you to play a bit more of the same type of thing. That was brilliant because it gave the developers a chance to create some extra revenue in a fair way. I think that's always a fair transaction. Main game, there you go, 25-30 quid back in the day, and an expansion maybe 10 to 15. But it would give you something almost like an extra game, but not as much. But it would give you enough to sort of satiate your appetite for that game again. Nowadays, that aspect is built into the original product, so it's effectively either there from the off, or it's developed at the same time, planned to be drip fed out to the audience, it's not great, but maybe that's where we are in today's society and today's industry. Then the microtransactions came in, and I think originally it might have been things like cosmetics and things to make you look different, or maybe extra bits and bobs, and maybe even back in the day things that did affect gameplay, and maybe that affected a lot of games in a negative light. But those microtransactions then created a game that was not worth more, but you spent more on it. So you would spend your equivalent now of 40, 50, 60 pounds or dollars on a game, and you'd be spending a few dollars or pounds here and there on different things, erupting into a cost of a game that is far above what it should be, and I'm making quotation marks, of the actual game you originally bought. Not good at all. It's although it might be transparent, then we saw the introduction of like credits and multiple monetary streams of credits, whether it be real money or the in-game currency or different ones. I remember the Shadow of Mordor had like 3 currencies and then one you actually had to pay for, so it got a bit silly in places. But that was something that happened, and we accepted that in again. And what happened after that? Oh, well, we can make these microtransactions very accessible and very addicting if we make them into boxes that might have some loot in them. And then we got loot boxes, and you can see where this goes. It just becomes a tale of greed from the big developers out there who have turned this into a way to create money for shareholders, not to fundamentally do what they're there to do, and that's to make games. Look at the practices of taking over a studio, picking out maybe a few of those developers, artists, writers, or whatever, and chucking them into other projects that aren't anything to do with what they were originally as part of a team for, and then disbanding the studio, making them do stuff they're not supposed to do or not good at doing. I don't know. I don't know what goes on in those business practices. I'm not part of those companies or those conglomerates, but those practices all build up into a what the fuck is going on when you sit down and think, well, the industry's killing itself. It's gone from a creative niche thing back in 70s and 80s with arcade machines and home computing to now a multi-billion dollar industry every year, and it's just destroying itself. Where's the fun anymore? And do you know what? It's pointing me back to the indie gamers, the indie studios that you can find even on the consoles and on Steam around the place, producing games that are born from a creative feeling or a I want to make a game that is engaging and just is something that you won't find anywhere else. Original, that's the word I'm looking for. You don't get that with AAAs anymore. You don't. It's a different skin with a different twist. That's all it is. It's a fucking purple orange that bleeds tomato juice. It's not anything that is going to inspire people. There's been maybe one or two that have turned into that, but at the outset, give me any of the recent EA games that are whatever they are with a new number on the end. It's just a franchise. It's not that original. I mean, even their new game that I was looking at and still fairly interested in, being Anthem, it's a fucking Destiny, isn't it? It's because they don't have one. They've looked at the success of Warframe, they looked at the success of Destiny and gone, we don't have that, let's do that. You know, it's just depressing when you think of it in a sort of a games channel on YouTube kind of way. You get to see the underbelly of things. But those indie studios, they're providing much more creativity and much more originality to games. And just the other day, I found, I was going back into my childhood really and picking out a lot of point-and-click games that I can find on Steam. One particular company has always provided some good games like that, is Wadget Eye. They have produced things like Gemini Rue, which I really enjoyed when I stumbled upon it many years ago, but also the Blackwell series of games. There's about 5 or 6, don't cost that much. Point-and-clicks, beautiful. Then I realised that Devolver Digital had an equivalent looking pixel-arted point-and-click-esque game called The Red Strings Club, and I enjoyed that over the weekend, and I'll be doing a review on that next week. If you guys want to hear it, let me know down in the comments. But once I finished that, I sent an email to Devolver Digital. First time in ages. Because it really engaged with me. It spurred something in my brain. It triggered thoughts, debate in my own head. It was fantastic. Okay, I mean, I might be ruining the review, but never mind. But I sent them an email just to say thank you. Can you pass on the thanks to the developers for me? It would be fantastic if you could. Just want to say thank you. Simple as that. And within 24 hours, I had a response back saying that they were appreciative of the thanks and they were happy that I enjoyed the game. I mean, would you get that from a big AAA publisher developer now? Unlikely, I think, is fair to say. So my connection these days to games is far more on the indie side than it is on the AAA side. On the big EAs, the Activision Blizzards, the Ubisofts, you know, they are just big companies for profit, whereas the creative industries for me is with the indies. So, how do we get out of this? Do I have a solution? To be honest, I am but one man and I am but human. But what we can do is be more conscious. God, I said it again. I did this a couple of takes ago. Conscious of our decisions. We are all consumers. We're buying stuff. Whether it be on consoles, we're giving them time of day on forums and chats and everything else. We're consumers. We're consuming those products. So let's do it in a good way. Let's do things that are good for us, but also to support fairly those developers that deserve our time and our money. Simple as that. If it's a game that's good, give it some love. If it's not, then don't give it some love. Just walk away. That's all you got to do. It's as simple as that. Many games have died a death because they've not been very good, but there's one practice I want to just highlight very, very quickly, and that's what I discovered when I was watching a video from SkillUp, where he was talking about a Black Ops 4 review video he made that he now had to take down because what the studio had done, which I believe was EA, I'm not sure if I think Black Ops is maybe with someone else, but I maybe won't quote EA, but what the studio had done is basically, how it looks from the outside, had waited till all the reviews had been published for a couple of weeks, get through that review cycle, and then put in the microtransactions. Fucking disgusting. If you're going to do that, then it should be part of the package that gets reviewed. It shouldn't be held off so that you can manipulate the reviewers and manipulate that free advertising you get from the reviewers when they go through your fucking game. I'm absolutely incensed that happened, and I feel disgusted for people that have been affected by that, who have then been drawn into the gambling nature of fucking loot boxes with your fucking transactions and everything else. Now, I'm not often going off on a rant about this stuff, but it really gets under my skin. There's been so much work over decades to make gaming not only accepted in the mainstream, but now, to be part of the general economy of a country. I mean, gaming and video gaming across all platforms is in the multiples of billions, of tens of billions of pounds a year. And do you know what? Those big fuckers, those big companies want all of it. All the time. And it really gets on my tits. Endlessly. Oh, I got there in the end. I got riled up enough. But seriously, it's just disgusting that I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I mean, there's companies that like Bethesda who have for years have just like sat on the laurels of Skyrim and Elder Scrolls, put out Fallout 76 and fucking implode in front of our eyes with bullshit cock-ups and disgraceful activities. It's just the way that things are now. It's not even fucking news. So what I would say to you as a solution is just be conscious of what you're doing with your money when you're buying games. Don't get sucked into hype as easy as it has been in the past. Take a look at indie developers. There's plenty of ways you can research what games are good on the sort of indie spectrum. Go to YouTube, go to Reddit, go to even Steam and have a look and have a scroll through. There are plenty and plenty of things that you can do to get that enjoyment elsewhere from games that will really engage with your brain and not just your wallet. It's been quite an interesting video to make. As I've talked more, I've got more angry. But at the end of the day, guys, I just want to have a discussion. I really want to understand what you guys think about this. So if you want to let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are about the current state of affairs that we are dealing with right now, and especially going forward into the next 5 to 10 years, are we going to see video games just become a thing that overlaps with everything else? It's already in the UK eclipsing video and music industry in terms of value, but is that inflated from all the microtransaction bullshit? I don't know. Maybe it is. But I do know that it's becoming such a big part of life for a lot of people, and it enables people to do things and make connections and make friendships and just, for those people that might find it difficult in a normal traditional way, it gives people a lifeline, if you like, to social interaction. Not only for your hand-eye coordination and stuff that you might get from playing video games, but also problem solving, decision making, and all of the skills you might need to do in the workplace and in society. I'm going to stop there before I start rambling for about 40 minutes. But guys, thank you for listening, and I hope that you're having a fantastic day. We have videos out every Wednesday and Saturday, and if you do like what you've been exposed to and thrust into your face and your ears today, then please like the video and maybe even subscribe to become part of the family, and then you'll be a better person, because then I can introduce loot boxes and make some money off you. No, seriously, do like the video. But guys, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, love you, bye bye.